So today I'm going to work on my grapevine. Now when I planted this 12 years ago, I had an idea of what I wanted it to do, and I kind of wanted to do this structure, but I couldn't find any information on how to prune or train a grape in anything different than just the regular standard. So I just kind of went ahead, and I didn't really know what I was doing, but I think for the most part I got what I wanted. So my goal was to have a trunk going up here. I wanted a side branch here, a side branch here, a side branch here, and a couple going over the top to cover up the whole arbor. So the first year, what I did is I planted my vine, and then I just left it there alone for the year. I found one branch and I tied it up. That was going to be my main stem. Then I just kind of let it grow, and I didn't do any cutting on it until the second year. And then you need to remember that as you prune, you never want to prune off more than a third of the plant all at once. And so as I did this, I did it a little bit at a time, because you start and you have a whole bunch of growth right here at the bottom, and you only do one. So you're going to eventually clear out all the things coming from the bottom. You'll find one branch that's going kind of in the right direction, and you tie it on to your base. You're going to go up, find another one, tie that on to your base, and then another one up here, and you're going to cut off everything else off the main trunk. Now if you look on this one, you'll see I used to have a different vine here, and last year it died. So I cut it off, and I'm starting a new one. And so this is going to be my new branch, my new side branch. Now the ones where you're going to get your fruit is not the big ones. It's going to be these little spurs. This is where you're going to get your fruit from. I always, wherever they start, you're going to go out. You need at least two buds. There's one, and there's one. There's another one right here. I could do it after 3, or I can do it after 2. I'm probably going to do after 3 buds. Then I'm going to cut it. Now this is an old one. I should probably just cut this off. I'm going to cut that off. Now here's a nice one. There's a bud right there, a bud right there. I'm going to just cut it off of there after the second bud. Here's another one. One right there, one right there. So I'm going to cut it off the second bud. Now these are going to grow as they go, and they'll start making what you call as a spur. Come over to this one. See, here's a spur, and it's got several. You only want to have one new stalk off of the spur. So all this old stuff, I'm going to cut this off. And then there's one there, and I'm going to cut this one off right here. Now this is going to make a new cane. And I'm going to go over the whole vine this way. Now one thing I did that I probably, because I didn't know what I was doing, on this one I had it come here, and I got to the end, and it was long. I didn't know what to do with it. So I wound it back up and had it come the other way, which that was probably not the best thing to do. I should have just gone ahead and cut it off over here. Now like this one, this is going to be my new one. I've cut it off down here at the end, because I don't want to have it going all over the place. So now here, look at this one. I've got this vine here. It's going clear up in the tree. Look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off. I don't need it at all. Pull that down. So now this one is going to be my new branch this way. So I'm going to prune it the same way. I'm going to give it 2 buds, and then I'm going to cut it off. 1, 2, and cut it off. 1, 2, and cut it off. I'm going to go over my whole vine this way. So actually this one, I'm trying to regrow it, because this one doesn't have any spurs on it, because I think because I let it grow too long. So I'm just going to start a new one here. I'm going to leave that like that. So I'm going to go ahead and go over all my vine. I've got vines going clear up into the trees, but what I will do is go through the whole thing, and every time there's a spur, I'm just going to cut off the new growth, so there's just the 2 buds. And I'm going to do that over the whole thing. And you can totally train it to go into any structure you want. So You can just pick a branch and then clean everything else off except the ones that you want to have going, and you can make it kind of go into any shape that you want. Okay, so I've been working on my grapevine. I about got it done, and what I've tried to do through the whole thing is where I have a spur and one cane come off of it. So only one cane on each spur, and then 2 to 3 buds on each cane. Since this is going over an arbor, sometimes I'll have 2 just because I want to cover things up a little bit better. But for the most part, you try and do 1 spur, 1 cane, 2 to 3 buds. And this has worked really well for me. I get tons of grapes off of this. The whole thing is covered with leaves in the summer, bunches of grapes hanging down. It looks really, really pretty, and I get all the grapes I could possibly want. So this is a different vine on a different kind of arbor. And what makes this one different than the one we did before is that the other one had a trunk, and then it had specific side branches. And other than that, the trunk was really clean. But this one, we can't really do it that way. I don't have side branches. I just have one trunk. But I wanted to have leaves and fruit all the way up this. So I needed to prune this very different. When I started learning to prune these, I couldn't really find any examples of doing something like this. So it was a lot of experimentation. And since then, I've learned a lot of things, and I'm going to kind of show you some things that I wish I had have known when I first started. So first I'm going to show you over here what I would have done with a new vine. So we're going to pretend, just for the sake of showing what I'm talking about, we're going to pretend like this is a new vine, and I have my main trunk here, and this is one that I was going to train to be an arm. So if I had done that, I would have come to the end of my support, and I would cut this one off. Let's see, I've got 2 here, so I only want one of them. I'm going to say this one. Okay, I'm going to have this one be the arm that I'm going to keep. This is just for experimentation. I'm usually actually going to cut this off. So I would cut that off, and then I would let this grow. Now all of these buds that you can see, that summer they're going to grow, and they're going to grow canes. So the following year, I would let that grow. The following year, I would come along and cut those canes off. Now look at this one. I would let it have 2 buds, and then I would cut it off, just like that. Now this is going to be the formation of a spur. So over behind, this is going to get thick and woody, and that's going to be kind of a permanent part of your trunk. So just when they're talking about spurs, that's what we're talking about. So the arm will eventually get thick and woody. The spur will get thick and woody, and it will have 2 buds on it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So let's come back over here and look at the actual vine. Now this one I actually don't want. So I'm going to start cutting these off. When I did this vine, I'm going to call these my arms. And like I say, I was kind of experimenting, and so it's kind of a little bit more growth than it needs, and I'm going to cut some of that out. Because on each spur, you really only need one cane. So I'm going to call this thing an arm, and this is my spur. So I only want 1 cane off my spur. So I'm going to cut this one off, and this is the one I'm going to keep. It needs 2 buds. 1, 2, so I'm going to cut right above here. That's my cane. Now this one, I probably don't need this whole one. I've got too much on that spur. So here's what I'm going to keep. Now here's another spur. I just need 1 cane off of it. I usually keep the one that's closest to the vine. So I'm going to cut this one off, and then I'm going to shorten this one. There's a bud there, and there's a bud there. So I'm going to cut that off. Now this is an old dead one I'm going to cut off. But there's my spur. This is dead, so this is going to be my cane. I'm going to keep 1, 2, and I can do either 2 or 3 buds. I think I'm going to do 3 just to make it a little longer. Here's going to be my arm. Here's my spur. Let's see, what should I cut off? I only need 1. I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to keep this. Now this, I think I've got too much on it, so I'm going to cut this one out. Just because I've got too much growth there. I only need, let's see, I only need 1. This one's not very healthy. It was kind of yucky. So I'm going to cut this one off I don't know if I should have cut that one off. That's not very good. Well, we'll see how that does. I'm not sure if I messed that one up. Okay, here I'm going to cut off everything else. This is too much on this one, and it's crossing over, so I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to cut this off. But I've got cut this one off. I've got some old dead wood that I'm going to cut off. So here's one spur, and I think I've got too much on here, so I'm going to cut all this off. I'm going to keep 2 buds. That's old. 1, 2. I'm going to keep cut right here. So hopefully that's going to be okay. Now this one, I've got some old dead stuff. I'm going to cut that off. Yeah. Cut that. I'm just going to keep this one here. Don't need that. This is dead, so I'm just going to keep one. I'm going to cut that one off and keep this one. 1, 2 buds. Keep that. So I'm going to go ahead and go up through my vine and do this throughout all of it. Like I say, I've got a lot of dead wood because some of the times I didn't really know what I was doing, and a lot of experimentation. So I've got some extra wood that I probably should have pruned off earlier. But I like to find the new canes and have just 2 buds on them. If it's a lot of old dead wood, cut that off. Get that out of the way. Let's see. Here's extra, and then this is my 2 canes, so I'm going to cut that off. This one, I think we're going to start a new growth down there lower. So we're going to keep this one closer in. That's too much on one. 1, 2, and cut that off. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll clean this off, and then when I get it done, I'll come back and we'll show you what I've got done on it. Okay, so I've got done. I've gone over the whole vine and I've cleaned it off. You can see I've cut the canes down a lot, and as much as I can, I try and use the idea of for each spur, leave 1 cane and keep each cane to 2 to 3 buds. With a trellis like this, it's so kind of unorthodox, so there's a little bit of, you have to kind of guesswork a little bit because it's not quite as uniform as like in a grape vineyard. But anyway, it's worked really well. I've had really good success. It looks really pretty in the summertime, and I get tons and tons of grapes off of it. So it has worked really good.